Hey guys, Bix Weir, roadtoruta.com. We have Jenny Moonstone, fresh off some amazing predictions in the last couple of months
Oh,
of our friend Silver, what's going on with Silver. And you had told us a while back, if I remember correctly, you said there's going to be some people who can't deliver into what they promised, and the people on the other side of that will not be happy, and they'll keep asking for it and asking for it, and they're going to have to keep tracking it down. It's exactly what happened in July. We had at the beginning of the Comex delivery month, we had 35 million ounces that were called for delivery. And then by now, the end of July, they should have delivered all 35. They've delivered 50. So the beginning, the 35 million was way short of what they really wanted. They
huh.
didn't want to tell anybody, but all month, whoever's been needing and wanting silver and probably requiring it by contract is getting their silver. It's just taking a while because there's so little silver that is free to be thrown around like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So let's look at August and especially September and October. Let's look at the next 3 months with that in mind.
Okay. It's a good time to be a silver stacker.
Oh, yeah, $40. Woo!
That
We're,
is pretty great, actually.
we're
And
sniffing
since
out.
I began like formally accepting payment for sessions in silver, that is just a really great. I knew that I had that dream for a reason.
Yep.
A couple months back, just it was raining coins.
I
So-
can't think of a better form of payment spiritually for a
oh
10-year
yeah.
reading than paying in physical silver.
It's wonderful too. And specifically the folks that, and they're all your people too, by the way, obviously. But the folks that decide they go the route of paying with silver, those sessions are charged even a little different. I don't mean physically like they're charged. I mean like energetically they're
Yeah.
charged with a very specific kind of if I had to describe it, it's more creative. It's
Yeah.
more about creative potential and all of the future being open and less about digging into the past and less about where we've just come from. And it's all about creative horizons. So just something I've noticed.
Very
All
cool.
right. August, silver happenings in August and September. I was doing some cleaning and organizing, and I found this deck that I haven't seen in
Oh,
ages.
nice.
Yeah, so we're gonna switch it up just a little bit, add some
Yeah.
stuff. Do y'all bear with me just a little bit. Great. And we'll do some tarot too, just to add some substance, real substance to it. I have to mute myself because I have to cough. I'm so sorry, you guys.
Go for it. It's a sound effect for you. Phew. I gave
Sorry, you
it,
guys.
I gave him the sound effect. No problem.
Oh, it's just a really like jarring sound to hear somebody like cough.
Yeah, so I
It's
did
just
it.
it's not very zen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Holy shit. So, first things first, we have for the month of August, we have toxic traits, bad habits, black magic hexes and spells. And then in September, we have multiplayer game and keep going, which looks like a continuation of some of the things that we're going to see in August. So remember, we're talking about entities, and I don't mean spiritual entities, but people, organizations that operate with a different set of rules and regulations than we do. And those rules and regulations are not like known to the general populace. So when something like black magic, hexes, and spells comes up, you got to look at it more along the lines of serious manipulation and deception and a kind of, in those echelons, a lot of these people do have backgrounds in things like, neuro-linguistic programming. Like they're dealing in the weirdest, strangest, their operations are very strange to us, right? So then we have the Knight of Swords. So this is a silver knight. He's considered a silver knight. We have the Chariot. It's funny because this is your card. This is Cancer. It's the mission, the purpose, and the movement. And then we have the Four of Wands, which is some kind of reconciling, some kind of coming together. So by the end of September, we are looking at some kind of big mess come to somewhat of a conclusion or somewhat of a like a truce, because fours are the number of truces and settlements. You know what I mean? Settlements.
Hmm. Okay.
Let's see here. This is also, by the way, this is deliveries. So the chariot is always going to be within this context. This is deliveries. This is like, the movement of that transaction. Um, they could be in some, tr there could be some trouble. Like there could be some strange implications, in specifically in August. I don't know who, just, they're always fighting about something, these people.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever happy. These people are never happy. I swear to God.
Well, if it is dealing with what's going on in silver behind the scenes, which is the unwinding of the JP Morgan leasing 1.2 billion ounces into the market to suppress price. Now those leases are coming due, and a handful of companies who are at the other end of that, they got to give back the silver to somebody at least. We don't know who is ending up with the real physical silver, but it seems like, I mean, as those contracts expire, it's kind of complicated, that world of, all the contracts and
It
derivatives
really
of the
is.
contract. And I think there's quite a few banks that are finding themselves at the short end of the stick when it comes to the end of that contract and what they're going to do if they don't have the silver to deliver. What can they do?
So the bad habits thing is pretty interesting to me because it makes me think of like, well, what happens when you've had a bad habit for long enough? Something terrible. Something has to give. So this is almost like, over an extended period of some really toxic cycle or some really, shady workings, it finally, becomes so malignant that it affects multiple players in that game. And they're like, okay, like, something has to give. But by the end of September, or I also got the vehicles and transportation coming up again. So that really reiterates, deliveries and, settlements and things like that, and things being shuffled back and forth. There's something here I'm actually getting just not really from the cards, but just my own thing, is there could be something coming up about the some silver mines, like I suppose unless you specifically seek out that information online where you're like you subscribe in your algorithm to precious metals news, you're not going to see those things, but there could be some drama around some silver mines. Maybe not in the United States, but possibly in a place that's just not, it's behind the scenes.
Could it be Mexico?
Well, that's not the US, so that's possible. I'm
Not
just
yet.
getting specifically right. I'm getting specifically, it's not the continental US. It's not the United States Incorporated. It's outside of the perimeter of that. But it's kind of possibly some kind of accident, or major, event where people get hurt. It doesn't feel good. It feels like drama.
So I mean, from a mind standpoint, if it doesn't feel good, it's probably either the shutdown of a major supplier, maybe of silver, which Mexico obviously is the largest supplier of silver. They supply a third of the silver to the entire world.
Mm,
And they've had a couple times where large mines have gone down for one reason or another.
hmm
They also have a government who is they know that they've been selling silver for way too low. And they are talking about putting regulations so big on mining natural resources in Mexico that they make it prohibitive. So they stop selling silver
Okay.
and stop exporting it. And I've been screaming about that to any Mexican who would listen to me, which to their detriment, they haven't, that there's no reason on the planet that one of the not the richest country in the world, Mexico, would export, a third of all silver on the planet just to keep the price of silver low.
Yeah, that's dumb.
You just keep your silver, and then you'll be the richest planet. This isn't rocket science.
What if they've got gun to their head, so to speak, and they
Well,
can't?
they're run by, or at least they were, they're run by the banking cabal and the deep state, and the United States government tells them what to do. And there's certain things that Trump would do to them probably if
Yeah.
they say, sorry, we can't do this to our people anymore. We can't export the riches of our country, um, which would hurt anybody invested in mining companies too. And a lot of people don't understand there's third party risk. When you're invested in a mining company, yeah, you're getting cheap silver in the ground, but you also have nationalization risk, confiscation risk, execution risk. There's so many risks associated with it. Now is not the time to be messing with different kinds of silver derivatives, like a mining company share is a silver derivative, like an ETF is a silver derivative. Get your physical silver in your own possession only at this point in time. I do think we're at the end game of silver manipulation, whatever that might entail. Let's take a look specifically at the end of the year. Let's just jump to December and ask how are silver investors who are sitting at right around $40 now, how do they feel? What's their feeling? What's their emotion come
I
the
like that.
the
That's
last
good.
month on average on the last month of the year?
King of Swords wants to jump out. Discipline, authority, clarity, mental clarity, intellect. Let's see. Yeah, gauging the emotional output, I think, is more my language as opposed to, the other stuff. The more, what would that be? Right brain or left brain? I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
know. Let's give a
I'm
quick.
neither side of the brain. I just do my own
There
thing.
you go. Is it party time or is everybody very sad?
Right, exactly. All right. And how are silver investors feeling by the end of 2025, December? All right, there it is. Page of Swords. Oh, wow. So we actually have two iterations of these sword archetypes. So these are people, but these are also like mentalities and ideas. So that the ideals. So it shows me where everybody is at. So air dominant, this is everybody's ears to the ground, right? Everybody is paying attention. There could be more sort of more communication about it, like people are talking about it a lot more. And then we have the Hanged Man reversed, which is really kind of wild. Because this is where something that was because when the hangman is upright, this is when something is basically suspended and it's all up in the air. But when it reverses, this is when it's like someone switches the light back on and operations pick up again. So this gives me a type of vibe of like back in business with the king and the page. As the king directs energy, he tells his underlings what to do, delegates responsibility, and the page of swords is happy to do that. So a lot of people could be feeling very confident in talking about their silver investments, and maybe they'll use it as a means of saying, look at what I did, you can do this too. So it really boosts people's confidence. People want to talk about it more. And hey, when your investments or your ideas or your projects aren't doing that great, the last thing you really want to do is like spend a whole lot of time talking to other people
True.
about it, right? So I I would say that this is a good, very solid, encouraging type of energy where folks are wanting to share about it. They're wanting to talk about, hey, look at what's going on. Look at, how this is going. Um, so it's
Right.
really good.
I think, I mean, there will come a time when the fundamentals of silver will be discussed again. Right now, everybody just talks about manipulation or, you know, it's all about manipulation. The fundamentals are it's like a hysterical situation where we're using up all the silver on the planet
Yeah.
and there's not
Hmm.
much left. And so, I mean, the normal things you talk about, you would think you talk about is supply and demand and all that.
Hmm.
But because of the manipulation, because those numbers have been so skewed for so long, it never really resonated with people. But if we are over $50, say $50 is the all-time high from 2011 and 1980, if we're over that because of all these reasons that we've been pointing out, Yeah, it'll get down to, well, why should I invest in silver? Well, silver is the most conductive metal on the planet, and it is in every cell phone, it's every flat screen TV, it's in electric cars, it's in everything we do, and AI needs literally 10 times what we have. If those
I
discussions are happening, I think, and they're allowed to happen without, you know, the bad guys hiding everything, I
don't
think
think
that
they
would.
even can anymore. I think all of this information is like it's always been open source because hey, if everybody did the kind of work that we did, where you have conversations with spirit and or higher self, you realize that everything is open source information. It's just a matter of trusting that
Mhm.
what you're getting is true. So I don't even, especially if you look at the new, it's so the lines are gone. The line, the divide has been completely removed, and now it really is all out front, out in the open. I wanted to ask if it's okay with you if silver was going to hit $50 market value by the end of 2025.
Mhm.
Is that the point you want to, or
Well,
60,
will it
70?
go over 50?
Will it go over $50?
50 is the all-time high from 1980. 50 is the all-time high from 2011. It's never been in the history of mankind. Well, the history of the US
Wow.
dollar.
Right. The history of the US. United States Incorporated.
That's a different story.
Right. You're like,
We'll get to
oh,
that later.
buddy. Semantics, but yeah. Oh God. I triggered him, guys.
Said all these things are going up I want to talk about. You got 4 hours? Cool.
We got 4 hours. All right. Let's see. One more. All right, so we have two sets. We have a four of pentacles and a four of swords, and then we have a seven. I'm gonna say okay, this is what I'm gonna say. And you guys know I could be wrong, right? But
No.
I think we stay within the 40 to 50 range, maybe capping at like 47 by the end of the year. As far as going past 50, we could be looking at that next year because we have the Prince of Cups who is steady and stable on his way. Okay, so he doesn't denote any kind of backscale, backsliding. I think we're past that. I really do. I think the days of like $24 silver are long fucking gone. Pardon my language.
I I in my news this morning, if you guys saw it on YouTube, I talked about what it was in 1980 that brought silver to $80 and then crashed it back to, under five. And then and literally it didn't go back there until 31 years later. In 1980, it was the Hunt brothers who got 100 million ounces of silver and 110 million ounces of silver futures. That was their mistake, the silver futures part, because the banks came in and shut them down with the government. So it was artificial. It went to 50 artificially. In
Artificial.
2011, it was JP Morgan. They put their guy in, Bill Daley, as Obama's chief of staff when Obama got in, and they brought the price of silver from 25 to 50 all on derivatives and then smashed it to create another artificial bear market that we're just getting out of. So it was basically 50 was two artificially set prices. Um, and this is different. And because the where we are now is not being done by any specific derivative move, or you can't name, Warren Buffett, who did it in the 1990s, or Elon Musk, or any of the manufacturers or the solar industry. You can't name one thing, but you can name, you know, 50 different big reasons that people need physical silver, including Russia, India, and China all knowing the game that the US has played. So if it goes
Mhm.
under the moving averages, the longer the price stays above these moving averages, right now they're at like 32 and $33, the longer, the more these entities that only buy below start moving up the scale. So
Right, they have to.
they have to because they need the physical silver, or they're looking to take out the U.S. Economic system.
Okay.
So that would be, when Russia's ready, they could go like that, and poof, you take out JP Morgan, you take out the banks. Silver is literally the Achilles heel of the banking cabal. And what kind of number would it take? Probably $100 silver would destroy all the banks on the planet. And I'm not so sure China and Russia and India want to do that, but they are the big buyers.
Mhm.
Russia's new to this, and they announced it last year that they'll be buying silver for their own stockpile, which is
Wow.
really we would nuke countries that said that before. But now that
Wow.
we're at war with Russia, literally, because we're at economic war with Russia, we cut them out of the SWIFT system. Um, they can do it, and they can end the United States in a second, at least our financial system, which would, I mean, truthfully, that's where we get our power.
Mhm. Isn't
So
it strange? It's just also strange, like because we're patriotic people, but how do we any longer justify identifying with the United, like us
word,
versus Russia?
yeah.
It's a very strange place to find ourselves in as Americans.
But we're not alone in the rigging, but we do have most of the power and control because we
Oh, we're
invented.
the worst.
Well, yeah, now we are.
Easy.
But we do have power and control over the computer systems that we invented and implemented, the computer trading models. And I mean, it is the US that runs the show, and every
Yeah.
other country knows, a lot of the other countries know this is ending at some point. But
Yeah, for
everybody's kind of
sure.
looking at the US saying, okay, you're the ones that are going to pull the plug. They don't want it pulled. They're winning. They're
Yeah,
winning the game. China's building a massive country and
they
power
are.
all over the world. India's growing massively. Russia, believe it or not, is actually doing very well, even though the West likes to say, "Oh my God, the Ukraine shit," and
I'm sure they're doing fine.
they're doing fine, and they could end that war in a blink of an eye if they
Yeah,
wanted to.
if they wanted to.
But everybody else is whipping our ass now. And
Yeah,
I always said, it's when we start losing the game that we pull the plug.
yeah.
Because everybody says, oh, why would the U.S. ever want the system to crash? Well, we're the largest debtor nation in the world by far.
Mm-hmm.
Elon Musk found 14 computers that print money out of thin air.
Out of thin
That
air.
means the Biden administration, the Biden family probably has 20 or 30 billion dollars that they printed for themselves. And they gave all their friends a few hundred billion. And then Obama was doing the same thing. And it's like everybody was just creating money out of thin air, giving it to themselves, throwing it into cryptos, throwing it in wherever they needed to throw it. So the reality of what the US dollar is and was, they're printing infinity money. And I think every country knows that. Elon said it.
Oh
And
yeah.
all of a sudden Elon and Trump broke up.
Right.
I don't think that was a coincidence.
No, I don't think so either.
And I think let's do a little read on the Elon and Trump, and specifically, was it specifically related to the 14 money printing computers that Elon found?